Hello, everybody. Whoa, what's this camera gonna do? Low light compensation. Hello, Weaven. I see. Let me put on my headphones. Brian Chambers, nice to see you, my man. Mike SSI, Deuces Wild. Hello, hello, sir. Hello, hello. All right, all right. Let's check everything's going with my mic here. I know I got low light. As long as you guys can see me, it's all right. I think we got enough light to do. Let me turn this other computer on. That'll brighten it up just a little bit. There, a little bit of light, right? All right. Let me turn this one on. I'll turn the other mic on, so you guys should be able to hear me down now. You're gonna thumbs down. You're going there again? I thought you were all done with that thumbs down stuff, Farmer. All right, so you guys should hear me on this mic now. I switched it up. All right, good. And I'm just gonna check on that. Good, Farmer. Good to hear you kidding. All right. So I'm gonna turn some lights on. The other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get some FPV gear that I have ready for you guys, so we can go over this. My hot dogs were yummy. Farmer, you ate them? That's good. I didn't know whether you had the kahunas to actually eat them or not. But hey, you know, I mean, it's kerosene. People have kerosene heaters in their house, breathing it all day long. You know, you're young. You got plenty of limit of chemicals to go yet before you get the corona cancer. All right, I'm gonna get one light on here in a little bit so that it's not too creepy. Yes, if you guys definitely would like to hit the thumbs up. I got 9 and 9. That's awesome. I'm like Wolverine. I can hear myself faster than the others. That's good, Deuces. That's good, Farmer. And then Deuces Wild says, already did. I automatically thumbs up every time I'm on Josh's stream. Man, that's too good. You guys are too kind to me. Hello, John Noon's Airborne. Awesome to see you guys. So you know the dab dude is someone coughing into their arm. I appreciate that, Farmer. All right, so if you guys, let's see, we'll get into the chat a little bit more. We can talk the basics before we actually do show and tell. But I will turn on a light, and I'm gonna open this up for my son. These are actually also my favorite.
And those are my favorite too.
They're your favorite?
Yeah.
All right.
I told them about it.
Yeah, you take your Baba somewhere else though, because I'm doing my show, and you know the guys just really don't want to actually hear that.
Oh, so that's what happened on my iTunes.
Can I have a bite of this?
Then of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
You can have a big bite.
A big bite?
Yeah, a big bite. Now that's mine.
Thank you. Here. Put those back in the freezer. My teeth are frozen. Sorry, guys. Been lurking in and out. That's all right. We accept lurkers in here, Shadow. Chaw burger, chaw burger, chaw burger. Oh, Mike Keller, nice to see you. Yeah, let me get this light on. 1 second. Alrighty, everybody. So, craziness. I'm not in. I'm in my definitely comfortable clothes because that's what I get into nowadays. Down in the basement, my wife has me going in the basement, changing my clothes, sterilizing myself. All right, Kevin Chapin, hello. All right, so with us talking about, I don't actually need this because I'm talking into this mic. So with us talking about FPV, cameras, flight controllers, are there questions that you guys have off the bat that I can help answer? Farmer Man says turbines, and I'm going to indulge him to get to mention the turbines and get it out of the way, right? Craig Weaven, hello Gary, nice to see you here. All sorts of flying, no matter what you're flying. You have that Mama 10, which is awesome. I was looking at that. So any questions for FPV? Hello, Wild Bill. Best goggles on a budget. So I'm gonna say, without a shadow of a doubt, that is who makes those, Rondas? Viper. Who makes the ones that are Viper V2 goggles? I'm gonna Google that. That's what I'm gonna Google. Viper goggles. FXT. That's what I'm seeing that pop up. Okay, so that's what you got to remember. Viper V2 goggles. And here's why they're awesome. Not only do you get the goggles, I am going to search my knife. I'm not going to, and I've already started searching for it. At least I went back to the dam at least once. I did a roundabout. But, you know, Deuces, one of the things you said about, you know, there's other knives out there is that knife with a shovel, because I actually gave my e-tool, which is an entrenching tool from the Army, to a living history military museum, because they had some not from modern age, but they had some from World War I, World War II, Vietnam. And I'm like, yeah, you should have this one. So the goggles, not only do you get a set of goggles, but I like them because I wear, I'm reading Dave Marshall's comment that I'm not going to read out loud. I wear glasses or contacts, okay? So if it is that I had glasses on, then even if I had, say, Fat Shark's goggles, okay, then, and I had the lenses that I could put inside them, when I took them off, or when I would take them off, I still can't see my plane because I don't have my glasses. So it doesn't do me any good. Okay, so yeah, let's start there. FPV. FPV, first person view. That is where, and I am going to get my goggles and show you guys them in person. Okay, so FPV, as Dave Marshall said, first person view. It means you're as if you're the first person. You're not third person like Farmer. Rhonda's looking at me. You messing with my fellow Canadian? So you're first person in the plane, flying the plane. So Wild Bill, did you see that that video I did of the Cessna where you saw from the plane, right? Now, I was flying that plane on the ground through my goggles. So even when I was landing the plane, I was actually still in the goggles. And that's what's cool, is because when you get used to a plane that you've flown a lot and you know the surroundings like I do there, you can come in and land that plane just like you're really there. Okay, so yeah, basically Michael Rochka and I said the same thing. It's like you're there, like you're in the cockpit. Okay, so thinking of breaking out the F-16? Are you going to fly at FPV, deuces? The FPV in a plane like that is not exactly ideal. So it is more of the, hello, Chuck G. What plane is that, deuces? I know it's not 90 because I think your MiG is one of your only 90s. I want to get a 90. A buddy of mine at the airfield has one, a Stinger 90, and I think I can get it fairly cheap, and I think it's taken care of. All right, so when you're in that plane, one of the things, like Thompson's Hangar asked me, how do I start getting into FPV? Well, you get used to your planes. You get used to flying them. You get used to your surroundings, because it can be very disorienting up there. You can easily lose a plane because that thing will fly out and you'll be like, all right, where is it? Where did it go? What? Are you trying to eat another ice cream?
Yeah.
Go ask your mom. Mom, trying to eat another ice cream. Yes, find landmarks. It is nice if you have a spotter, definitely. Good point on that one, because your spotter can always tell you where you are in case you lose video signal for whatever reason. And these are this is where the safe comes in really handy. If it is you have a plane that's on safe and you're flying FPV, that's one less thing to worry about. I can tell you guys one of the best planes that I had for FPV was a little wing made by E-Flight. I could launch it and fly it wherever I wanted, and it's nice and simple. That's why wings are very good to start off with for FPV, because it's just left, right, up and down. That's it. There's a whole lot less to deal with a plane like that. All right, so RC Stinger saying, or RC Air Marshal, RC Stinger, the transmitter for FPV is on the plane. Okay, so what he's saying, the transmitter for FPV, that's called VTX, your video transmitter. Just like you have a transmitter in your hands that's sending control to the plane, your video transmitter on the plane is sending video signal back. They can be completely disconnected. On some of the more complicated systems, they can be together. Ethan RC's question of, is 25 milliwatts VTX ideal? It is. It is plenty for you. Don't ever let anybody tell you that 25 milliwatts is not enough. Okay, they don't know what they're talking about. You can fly for a long time on 25 milliwatts. If you don't have a good signal, it's because something else is messed up. Okay? Let's read the rest of Dave Marshall's. The flight transmitter or controller, I think is what he's talking about, and video transmitter don't have a lot to do with each other, which is the same thing I was saying about they can be separate. VTX is what's on board, yes. The VTX is what he was saying at first. The transmitter for FPV, or video transmitter. Okay? So, Shadow Up says, Ethan, if not flying with others, FPV is more than good enough. I think he's talking about the power there. Okay, so Ethan RC says, our pagoda antenna is the best. That, I'm going to say, to me, in a general sense of the word, pagoda pagoda antennas are the best. Okay, if you're just doing general flying, they're great. Okay, but you can also spend some money on some fat sharks and know that you have good quality. But I can also tell you that I fly on rubber duckies and I'm actually fine because I have a good receiver on my goggles. Okay, let me grab those goggles and I'll be right back. Everyone got your keys? All right, here we are. So these are the FXT Vipers. And here's what I was saying about the rubber ducky does fine. This is a triple patch antenna. One of the things with this is if it is that you are facing the plane a little bit more, this is going to be helpful for that. This one right here, you can't really turn your head like that and or face it, so it doesn't really matter. But these right here, 2 rubber duckies and I'm good. All right, so nice thing about this, any 3-cell battery or even 2-cell, you plug it in, you're good to go. Comes with XT90, all right? Here's the other thing that these are good for is that I can see the plane and the screen at the same time, so I can literally be flying line of sight and FPV. So when you guys ask about what's up, Jeff? So when you guys ask about how to get used to FPV, this is my answer. Go in there. So you can make sure your video signal is good. That's one of the things that you want to do first off as far as flying. Now, this can record your flight. So that's what I would suggest, is your first couple of flights, you literally just record it. So there is my SD card, right? Okay, it's holding a 32 gigabyte SD card. So you pop it in there. Thank you, Gary. I certainly appreciate that. Thank you for hitting the like button. So you pop that in there, you fly your plane around regular, right? And you go back and you review your footage and you find out if there's any dead spots. If when you turned a certain way, you lost orientation, okay? That gives you the confidence for the next flight that you're good to go, all right? You also are going to see what it's like to see things from up there. You may find out you're really disoriented. You don't, Eiley, can you turn that down? Stop that, please. Go ahead. You may find out you're really disoriented. So this right here, so some of the batteries, some of the goggles do have that. This, I have the option to record it when I want. So I literally just hit this button right here and it starts recording. You got to have a good memory card in there. Okay, so definitely RC Stinger. And one of the things you guys should do when you are going FPV for the first time is sit down. Okay, lean on something, because you can start wobbling, and then a lot of people do, and they like to spread their legs. All right, don't just stand straight up like this. You'll weeble wobble and fall over. So literally spread your legs, sit back a little bit, get in your goggles, you know. So these have a shield over them, but you don't need it with these. I can see in pure daylight with no shield on these, and I like that. Okay? Now, when Randy mentions monitor, here's why I like these goggles. These are also a monitor. So if you buy these goggles, you get a great set of diversity. Here's the word diversity. True diversity, okay? What this does is it is constantly scanning for which one of these has the better signal. And it has two actual receivers in it. So the one with the best signal is the one that it will use. All right? So this you can use all on its own, or you can use it within the goggles. Anybody can put this on and watch your plane. You guys want people to come out and say fly with you or film with you, get them interested through this. Get them to view from the airplane what it's like to fly around. You know what I'm saying? All right. So any questions on these goggles? Michael Rochka says, don't you think that starting FPV would be easier if you don't record it first to get used to the headgear? I'm not sure why you wouldn't want to record. And also, the other thing that I actually recommend is don't wear the headgear at first. Literally, record, put it down, and just fly around, okay? Yeah, so somebody may have asked the question that RC Air Marshal's answering. You can have 47 pairs of goggles turned to your VTX if you're crazy like that. Yeah, 47, and if you're even crazier, 48. Because basically what he's saying is your VTX, your video transmitter on your plane, is sending out a signal. Whatever picks it up, picks it up. You have to be on the channel. Let's see if I can show you guys the how many channels there are, though. I can turn this on. Let's see if I can flip this around. All right. So maybe my battery is too low. I believe it. Oh, there we go. So right now it's on A4, A5. I'll see if so here's the channels. See if I can get this to focus. All right, so there's, you see all of them. You saw the A, B, C, D. Let's see what it actually is. A, B, E, F, R. All right. So a lot of people like race. They like to say, oh, it's race, it's better. You know, it's a reserved set of channels, okay? What that does is it's a select set that people that raced, they said they wanted to use that set. Other channels people like, and it's just the same. If you actually look at them, the race is actually mixed all throughout, okay? So there is also some overlap. That's why if you do fly with somebody else, you want to very much check your stuff. Here's the thing. If it is you're here and you're picking up your plane just fine, you're testing on the ground, that's one thing, okay? Now, what happens when somebody flies in between you and your plane? They're the ones that are sending you signal. That's what people need to think about. Oh, we tested on the ground. We tested here. No, test in the circumstance in which real world will happen. And then you'll be fine. So literally, have someone who is going to be flying with you FPV. If you think your channels are going to be fine and you are going to be flying at the same time, literally have your plane on the other side of them. Have them walk around you and see if your plane is still good. And think about it even worse, that if it is your... Don't be eating that ice cream. If it is your plane is way out there and all of a sudden they bring their plane up close, that's going to be some messed up signals. Yeah, so LJ Hobby Life is saying, and when people fly near you 25 milliwatts, most maybe 200 milliwatts. Yeah, I would say that's definitely correct. RC Stinger over water, I wouldn't necessarily say there is interference over water. I would just say that when you go low towards that water, that's when you want to say be cautious. If you're up in the air and you're still line of sight to your plane electronically, and let's say you could visually see it, but even though you're through the goggles, you're, say, line of sight, then you're fine. It's the way the waves bounce, not the water waves, but the electronic waves. It may, on the way down, actually interfere. So a lot of times people will have their plane near the asphalt, and they'll have a very nice system that can go for miles. But when it's sitting on the asphalt, it's having issues. Oh yeah, I would love to fly in Key West. That's why I am trying to fly the Aptera, get as used to it as I can. Yeah, Randy's saying trees and buildings knock out your signal. Asphalt, yes. So first time I flew my Aptera with FPV, guess where it went? In a tree. All right. And it was funny because my brother, he called it. And on the video, it's awfully long, he said, do you need to be in the middle of the parking lot or anything? And he's like, oh no, you got the goggles on. So I didn't need to see my plane. But still, you need to be able to see your plane. It flew behind a building, and next thing I know, it was in a tree. We had to search for it. Yeah, so the diversity receiver, you guys, that word that I picked out earlier, that's what he's saying. Diversity receiver. It'll help with obstacles, right? Because you may have this one that's better for, say, penetration. I'm going to go get some antennas. I'll be right back. Bledsoe, what's up, my man? It's good to see you. I'm going to get some antennas and one of my FPV planes. I'll be right back. All right. So here we go. A lot of you guys, this is my wife. What you guys may be seeing is my wife playing Bloodborne. So this thing is not yet even maidened. Obviously, I haven't even cleaned up the wires because this thing is lit up like Christmas. There's so many lights in this thing, it's not even funny. I'd blind you guys. But here is the antenna set that I'm going to be flying. I got this stationed right on the end of Pagoda. This thing for, let's say, at least mid-range, it's going to give me good clarity on the signals. And as you guys may notice, this thing is way out here on the wing. Underneath, I have the VTX, the video transmitter. Way up front, camera, run cam 2. And you guys were asking about the run cam 2 being used as an FPV out and a recorder. Yes. So I have this wired up so that through this, I'm getting my video out. So I simply plug this into the back of the plane, and obviously I can unplug it. Just a simple servo, right? Wire yourself up something like this. You can plug it into that plane, that camera, and fly it on your plane, get a video out from it. So the nice thing about this, and it's a little hard to see, this flight controller, was it Craft King? Is this Maytech F405? Was that the original? That's what this flight controller is. This is what's nice about this is all of your power is coming right from here. This is the brain, the controller to your plane. So where you guys would normally get power from here to power your plane, I actually have this as a indicator that my ESC is still running. So this powers a certain light, and I know that my ESC and the BEC, the battery eliminator circuit inside of it, is still running. So the GPS, it'll go through this foam, no problem. A lot of people think you need to mount it up top, this, that, and the other. Not actually. It can sit right inside. Race Day Quads is an awesome site. And if you're a veteran, you get a 5 or 10% discount. You just have to email them. They'll give you your code. So this has the receiver on the other far side. You guys ask about the this is diversity as well. You guys ask about, let's see, Tyrannus, right? OpenTX and all of these receivers. I think there's another name I'm trying to think of. What's up, Pilot Ryan? This receiver, very, very small. I'm going to have these oriented in the usual 90 degrees from each other. I don't think I've run them yet. I've got some lights out here. This light over here tells me if I have power to this ESC, to this servo. So automatically, when I plug this plane in, if I don't have power to my servo, this light won't be on. So all of these lights, along with being lit up, they also give me an indication as to how is all the wiring on my plane. This one right here is taking power from my VTX. All right. Any other questions? Jumper T16. It's good, guys. If you guys want to fly jumper, fly it. You guys know that is multi-protocol, and it will do all the different things you want to do. If you want to fly different things. If you want to just fly one system, that's all you need. Way lights go on after it hits the tree. What lights go on after it hits the tree? Maybe the light inside here that says, don't do that again. All right, so I haven't flown this, but I took this off because I'm going to change the direction. If you guys are familiar with this plane, I know GB Linden is. This plane likes to do that when it got power. So I'm going to mount it differently. And I've got a light back here, which is a blinking red. And I've got this white light down below, which is essentially a spotlight. So I can turn that spotlight on and off, along with these lights, on and off. And so when this plane is flying, I can see all of the lights. I can see lights from all directions. Same thing with these other lights. It's only going to get brighter. So if I'm flying out somewhere and I want somebody to see the plane, all I got to do is flash a button on my remote and those lights come on. And that is from a Turnigy. Let's see what it says. Turnigy receiver controlled on-off switch. So essentially I wired that full power, and then I have a remote wire that is controlling the signal, and the power goes from full to what I want, and the signal wire just opens and closes that gate. So whatever it is I want opens and closes. All right, so I got another box of goodies here. It is, GB. I know you would know what it is. I've had this thing for such a long time, but I have not maidened it. It was when I got it, winter, and then moving, and this, that, and the other. Oh, yeah. I like, you know what? I like Futaba for the quality and for the ability to fly really far. If you look at some of the reviews from the Futaba, it can go a lot farther than some of the others. The FR Sky and the Open TX, I got that. I paid $249 for the top of the line Tyrannus, which is very nice gimbals, and it has the slider switches on it. So when I want to hook up a channel to a servo and do a pan tilt, then I can do that with my sliders. And I get 32 channels if I want to. On this, I have programmed 16. Through this itty bitty little receiver here, I get 16 channels. And this receiver right here, I have flown half a mile out. Okay, half a mile, plain and simple. I'll show you how big this thing is. There we go with some, that's what she said. So that's it. That's my receiver, the whole kit and caboodle. And it comes like that. It's not like I even took it apart. That's the way it comes. And that is true diversity. Those two antennas, they both work. And that does give you your signal strength through the 16th channel. So you do have what they call RSSI, which is like signal strength. Okay. Kid here playing with his remote control car. Alright, so let's get into a box of goodies. Just like Randy was saying earlier, through his monitor, this is one of the ones that I use. Self-contained battery, got a good deal on it. This is an Aries, very high quality screen, diversity. It's got the ins, the outs, and you can power it as well. All right, so what happens, we'll do a magic trick for you guys. Let me break this down for you guys. All right, that's the inside. Okay, here is a receiver. Okay, this is a video receiver right here. It's got that metal around it because it's going to get hot. It needs to let out the heat. More so your video transmitters, they're going to get hot. They need to let out the heat. And that's why I have this, especially out on the wing, it's going to get air. Okay. So this thing right here, at one point in time, I did have it hooked up to a screen. And I could still get it running if I wanted to, because that really is just a video out. If your screen is self-powered and you're getting in analog, you just need ground and video. So the other screen I had hooked up is was coming from this. Power, you hook up your antennas. Now here's one of the key things for antennas for your video transmitters on your plane. I mentioned they get hot. All right. Don't ever run a video transmitter, which is the thing on the plane, without an antenna plugged in. All right. Let's go in the box of goodies. And I got another magic trick for you guys here in a little while. Video transmitter, camera, antenna. Okay? Now this antenna, you can't unplug it. But where these things are sensitive, most of these things, they like to run 5 volts. Okay? So this thing needs 5 volts, not from your main system. That's one of the things that Roy was asking about is, you know, should you get it from your main system? And the answer is no, because there's a lot of people that run a flight controller and they'll pull too much power through that. If you guys know Josh Bardwell put out a flight controller. He designed it himself, and it really pissed a lot of people off because it kept blowing the regulators. People were pulling a lot of power from that. One of the things people were trying to do, they were trying to run this, which is the Runcam 2, Runcam Split Mini. Okay? They say split because it's literally split from your camera. Okay? You have this wire here. Here's your camera, but this right here is feeding in a digital feed to these 2 boards. And that is recording on board as well as sending out a signal. And this was purposely designed for those who want to do FPV so that there's not a lot of latency, because latency is basically lag. All right, people wanted their video signal out, but the thing is, this thing broke a lot of quads because people's video cards were not high quality enough and the system would freeze. So I actually had that happen here in my backyard. I had a very low quality card I just wanted to get some easy footage, and it froze on me. And it happened to a lot of people. A lot of people hit a lot of trees. So this thing is nice though. It can record high quality with a high quality chip and send out FPV just like a Run Cam 2. All right, so this, all in one. What were those three things? That's your camera, your antenna, and your VTX. All right, so this camera stays on here unless I were to, or the antenna, unless I were to break it off, right? Okay. What do we have? It's just negative and positive, basically. Just the normal. But it's really like, say, ground and signal. If anybody's an antenna expert, which I don't think anybody is because everybody's still learning, then they can tell about how the signals are flowing, this, that, and the other. But there's a lot of science to it. All right, so pagoda antennas. I like them. These are the latest that I bought. And here's one very important key to them. Let's see if that's going to focus. I don't know. There we go. Just barely. RHCP. You guys know what that one is? Weaven, you know what RHCP is? You do? What is it?
It's like I'm doing that.
Say right hand,
Right hand,
circular,
looking at
polarized.
polarized.
Yes, very good. All right. So this is also right hand, circular, polarized. So if you were to fly with these two together, that would actually be fine. What's interesting is if this were left hand polarized and the signal were to bounce off of something and then be picked up, this would pick it up. Okay? So one of the good things about these antennas being right hand circular polarized is you won't pick up extra noise that's bounced off of something. You will pick up only what's sent straight to you because it's right and right. So if I were to take this and break it apart so you guys can see what's in one of these right hand circular polarized, there you go. That's basically it. Same thing as this. Okay? They're different shapes by different manufacturers. You got 3-leaf and 4-leaf. Okay? Now here's the thing. Now I know Dave Marshall's going to have jokes here. Here's the thing. If it is, you want to reach out and touch your plane. Okay, this right here is made by a buddy of mine. He made it himself. Okay, 3D printed right here, and he wound all the wires through. This is going to shoot that in a very narrow beam towards your plane, but you have to make sure you face this towards your plane. This is where an antenna tracker comes in. All right, if y'all think Dave had jokes before, that'll reach out and touch somebody, all right? Very narrow beam, okay? Has to be faced right at the plane. So you guys may say, Well, how do we face it right towards the plane? That's where your device on your plane is going to embed in your video signal being sent back via this. Weaven, settle down. It's going to embed the GPS coordinates. So your ground station on the ground is going to know where your plane is, and it's going to track it. And by facing your antenna towards that location, that group of coordinates, where your plane is. So that's how it tracks it. This sends back the signal, the GPS coordinates. Your ground station picks it up and says, all right, I'm going to face over that way. This would be my first flight controller. No, this right here is a VTX and power hub. Okay, so this right here is what actually sent out the signal. This is made by Maytech. When you start getting into all of this, just buy yourself the whole kit of all of these different connectors. I bought like the metal ones, the plastic ones, this size, that size, and it just makes things convenient. All right, so this is where the battery hooked up to, and this supplied all of the power. You don't ever want to overload any one thing. If you overload your receiver, you guys know about brownouts. If you guys overload your flight controller, you're going to burn it up. You got to pay attention to how many amps things like this are pulling and how many amps your flight controller can give, or your PDB, power distribution board, can give. Okay? So, and always remember that as you go low in volts, let's say you're giving a camera like this. I have this set up so I can plug this in to an ordinary USB and get 5 volts out and power this camera, and that way I can test, say, my goggles or something else for the channel, because this has a channel readout on it. All right, the lower you get in your volts, the higher your amperage is going to be to compensate. All right, I'll say that again. The lower you get in your volts, the higher your amperage is going to be to compensate, because those two are going to always be equal to your power. So if your voltage goes down and you're still drawing the same amount of power, your amperage has to go up. Okay? All right. One last little thing. It's interesting for you guys wanting to go to quads. The more angle you put on your quad for your camera, the faster your quad is going to go. So when you guys break out a quad, don't think you need to go with an extreme amount of up tilt. Here's your up tilt. Let's say this is steady, right? Your camera, your GoPro, would be mounted right here. When you're flying, you're going to naturally do like this. What does that make in your quad do? Fast as can be, right? So when you first get your quad and you start flying FPV, your camera, Craft King says 90 degrees or nothing. Your camera, more level, is going to keep you nice and steady. You can just sit there and hover nice and easy. If you hover it like this, you're going to be looking up. So a lot of these race pilots, they can't land very well. They can fly the snot out of a quad, but they can't land because when they come in, as soon as they actually do that, their camera's up in the air. They don't know, they can't see the ground. So a lot of them will literally drop their quad. I brought this. I'll take it out so you can see it a little bit easier. Okay. This is just simply a capacitor. But why this is important is, just like this is a standalone system, okay, you can get interference and noise if you hook it up to your ESC, which, as it's providing power to your motor, it's also getting kickbacks and spikes, and this levels it out. All right, so let's see if see if I can plug this in real quick. All right, yes, capacitor. So what I'm doing on my goggles is auto search. It's helpful to have auto search. It's not the greatest thing in the world to fly from, but it's helpful to have it. You can also search someone else's channel real quick and find out what they're on. So here's that video. And here's this camera. So the camera is seeing the computer and or me. This looks like it's kind of hard to see, like it's... All right. I'll face it over this way maybe. Either way, you guys can obviously see it's working. And all I did was plug this right into the computer itself. So there's where I can get the 5 volts from for this camera. Now obviously I have this one set up so I can power it from something else as well, but I need to make sure that I feed this 5 volts, okay, and not draw too much. Let's say I were to draw from my computer, I could certainly break that power port. It would draw more. Yes, Craft King, this is, well, this patch antenna is actually both. So what it has on the back of it is something that you should use, which is a cap, because it redirects the signals on the end that you're not using. So you got to plug it up. But if this is right hand circular right now, I just switched it to left. Okay, so have a good night, Blood Cell. Thanks for stopping in. It's a great patch, isn't it, LJ? So this one right here is now left hand circularized. So if there's somebody who flies left hand, then you can pick up on their signal. So the interesting thing about Pagoda, this antenna design and this, which is, if I were to break this apart, that's what you get. You can run a set of protection rings on it if you want to. I don't. I don't think it does much to the signal, but you want these to be parallel and all of that. Once they start going out, it's pretty messed up. So, yes, Randy, what he's saying is definitely correct, is run 2 batteries. And that's what I did on my first FPV system. I had a completely separate system, just like this. All right, this was tacked along something like this on the outside of the plane. Okay, and then the other end was to a battery, and it ran through a regulator that kept it at 5 volts. So that way there was no interference, electronic interference from my ESC. F18, very nice. Did you order one from BVM? Awesome, Bledsoe. Uh-oh. Ow. All right, so let's go with any questions we have for FPV. While you guys are typing out questions, I'll go through the order that things are going in for FPV, and I'll get some of these parts, okay? So this is receiver, video receiver, same as this, right? This is your camera. This is going to send out a video signal. If you have OSD, 20 channel spectrum receiver, that sets you back a few bucks, Bledsoe. With your camera, and you have OSD, on-screen display, with your flight controller, and that has GPS, so you can get that data, that telemetry, like speed, altitude. That will embed on the video before it feeds out to your VTX. Your VTX with an antenna is going to send the signal. Got to make sure you have your antenna on there. Okay, you wouldn't want to turn this on without your antenna on. You'll blow it within a couple seconds. It'll heat up. All right. So once this is plugged in, then you can plug in your power, and your signal is going to go back out to your video receiver. That's how you can pick it up. You can pick it up very much in a linear way, where you have to face it directly towards it. You go outside of that zone, you're hardly going to get any signal. You can use a rubber ducky, which is basically a donut. You're going to get a donut around so that you can pick up your signal. You fly outside of that donut, you're done. All right. Adios, Bledsoe. RC Stinger, any bird technically you can do an FPV setup, or is it just the birds set up on, or just the birds you're ready for it are way easier? So RC Stinger, is it recommended for FPV systems suited for already built FPV planes or various size planes? Okay, so FPV. What it is you're still controlling the plane no matter what. You're flying it the same. The only thing is, are you flying it visually or are you flying it from the cockpit? The answer to that is, can you get a camera on your plane and power it? That's it. That's the answer. It's not yes or no. It's, can your plane handle a camera like this? I would dare say 99% of the planes out there can handle this. And the 1-cell batteries will power this just fine. What's up, Jermaine? You gonna go FPV flying with us? Yeah, anything can be FPV, literally. So the one of the video cameras I really liked was on a plane that came with it from Spectrum. Some of those Spectrum little wings that are FPV, that was a great quality airplane. I flew that thing all over the place. You know, my kids were on the playground. I'm sitting there flying around the playground, and it's so light, you don't have to worry about hurting anything. I can't even hardly imagine flying some of these helis, let alone FPV, but FPV quad, yes. But then again, it would be awesome on maybe some of the larger helicopters, maybe more stable, maybe not some of the trick helicopters I'm thinking about, but yeah. Oh yeah, the EC-1500, definitely well suited for FPV. Because one of the things about that is you have plenty of power. You're not necessarily going to stall out too easy. So that plane is more than capable, plenty capable for FPV. I've had a camera like this on my UMX Timber. So easy to put this thing right on top, feed it some power on your Timber, your UMX, and fly around in tighter spaces than you ever imagined. I mean, if you think your Timber can fly in tight spaces, put yourself in the cockpit, and it's so much easier to shoot that gap or to go underneath something, around something when you're in there, because you can't really tell some of that distances from the wrong perspective. But when you're in the cockpit, oh, it's easy. Tundra comes with FPV camera mount. Nice. Where is it mounted on that? I can't think about it. I imagine maybe way up top. A lot of them have that there. Just like the, I think the EC-15 has that little notch in it to take out, to put your camera in there. This one has it in the nose, along with room for your other camera. I don't even remember this thing, magnetic. I don't think you need to take it off. I think everything gets access from the back. So for a while there, I did have my, I had this in there with the RunCam 2. So a lot of these planes, they come with different like sockets that'll fit your individual camera, whether it's GoPro, RunCam. So one of the reasons why Randy mentioned, and I have my electronics separated on this plane, is the electronic noise. He said, you know, have a different battery and power system for your FPV. And for this one, what you also want to do for your longer range planes, you want to have your video transmitter out that way, your receiver out that way, and your ESC out that way. All right. So your interference is like a bubble. And the farther out you go, the less interference that bubble is going to be. Which also brings me to my other point. We were talking about this the other day. is on Ethan's show is, does the power, say, dictate your range? It does, but let's make sure this is clear to everybody. If you go from 25 milliwatts, which is most likely what this thing can send out, and it may also send out like 50 and 200. If I were to bump this up from 25 to 50, I'm not doubling my range, because what this does is sends it out in a bubble. So it's not more power throughout the whole bubble. It has to spread it out throughout the whole thing. So doubling the power only gets you like 1/4 farther. You have to multiply the power times 4 to essentially double your range. Now, you also can do some other things, like get an antenna that is specifically going to point at it and get it tracked. And you could fly this thing right here. I bet with the right setup, you could fly this out 2 miles. I guarantee you can pick up signal from this, from that far out. All right, so let's also talk about video signal frequencies. Yeah, definitely. Guniak is talking about clean stuff. You know when it's clean? Nighttime. People turn off a lot of their electronics, and just like Guniak's saying, clean. You fly around at night, your signal is so much better. And that's why I like to have people, like to tell people, hey, try flying at night. And that's why I showed you guys my Cessna video where I fly and I land the plane FPV at night. So I'm not saying I'm the greatest pilot or lander in the world, but a lot of you guys really did like the butter smooth landings in the Cessna that I was doing. So not only do I land them nice, but it is through the goggles. So I'm basically like this, and at night. But it's a lot easier than what you guys think. It's not something you can just go out there and do, but it's a lot easier than what you guys think. So yeah, you guys remember those TVs where you had to give it a love tap? They always came in better signal at night, right? That's why that's why those TVs did that. Everybody turned off their electronics at night, and those TV signals had better reception. Randy says he still, or Craft King says he still slaps that TV. All right. Yeah, these cameras, they're under 20 bucks. You can get them sometimes on sale for like $11. You know, this was the first thing I flew with, and it was great. I flew it at night as well. I had an Apprentice Mini. One of my greatest memories is flying at night in a parking lot with the Apprentice Mini. Now, I was still learning on the Apprentice Mini, and I went FPV. That's how much I love FPV and how much I wanted to do it. All right, so I'm sitting there flying this plane. The wind is coming at me, and the plane is literally just sitting there. So I'm trying to lower the throttle to get it down, but it keeps like dipping like this, so I'm kind of scared. So I'm leaving time to react to dip that wing. And it really stunk because I was doing so good. It was so cool. But, you know, things happen, and I had it mounted right on top. I got it. It was good, and I'm lowering it down, and it's the choppy wind I don't like. I don't mind steady fast, even extreme. But all of a sudden, it got turned like this, and it just zoom went off. And next thing you know, that plane flipped over, and it broke my antenna. So that stopped my FPV for a while. Built this thing. It was good. I loved it. I sent the guy at work. Said he had a birthday party for a kid. And we kept, trying to get together and have him, bring his kids out to see the plane because he lives near the high school where I fly sometimes. And he says, on one of the nights I was going to fly, he says, oh, I got a birthday party tonight. I was like, all right, what's your address? I'll fly over your house. And so literally, I programmed my plane to take off from the high school. I looked at the maps. I programmed it. Yeah, sure, Shadow. I'll send you the link for this little all-in-one camera. But if you want to do some searching on your own in the meantime, just put in AIO FPV camera. So with my waypoints, I literally programmed to go into a wooded area, down the road, down another road, over his house and do a loop and spiral, and then come back on the same path. And I was texting him, and then he says, oh, we didn't see it. We didn't get out. I was like, all right. I looked at my voltage. It says like 4.1. I flicked the switch, and it went back, started on the waypoint mission. I texted him again. He had all the people come out, and the plane had lights on it in the evening, and it had a tail on it, the party streamer stuff. And he was able to see the plane with the kid. They loved it. You know what I mean? Yeah, a good point that Ray was saying is lower frequency stuff, you can go really far. All right, so the reason I got Fat Shark goggles is because Maytech is now making 1.3 gigahertz BTXs that I put in the plane, and the receiver that fits in the module bay of the Fat Shark goggles. So I didn't have to do any wiring. Obviously I could have, but what that allows me to do, and like he said, a good example of 300 milliwatts, okay? With 1.3 gigahertz and 300 milliwatts, you're talking about 10 miles. With the right antenna set up, you can go 10 miles out there, all right? And if you're running less power, it means less heat, less energy, longer flights, along with your lower frequencies have better punching power. So these are 5.8 gigahertz. You fly behind a tree, you can lose your plane. Plain and simple. So you should stay line of sight with this. Your 1.3 gigahertz will punch through those trees. Who's the signal? I'm not sure. I missed that one. Yeah, DragonLink is high dollars. DragonLink is the control signal. Okay, so our planes are, most all of us fly 2.4, but DragonLink goes down to 433. Now let's say 2.4 gigahertz down to 433 megahertz, with 2.4 gigahertz being 2,400 megahertz down to 433 megahertz. Yeah, definitely. And that's what's nice about FPV and 10 miles out through goggles. You can see through this 10 miles out what you wouldn't be able to explore otherwise. And that's in our hands. That's the power of technology that we have these days. That's why I love this. I mean, I can go out and explore things. So, to recap, camera pulls in your signal. You have a flight controller. Flight controller is going to know where it is with your GPS that it has hooked to it. Okay, that's how it can embed the GPS coordinates within the signal. It can embed the OSD onto the video signal, and your video transmitter is going to send it out. That can be completely separate from your control system. But good point that Ray brought up is the lower you go with your frequency. The ideal, what we can do in our hobby is Dragon Link at 433. And there's others that do 433 megahertz for control. But you do that and you get your video signal down to 1.3. That means you can fly out literally 100 miles with that combination. You got to have something like this to point, because this is directional. It's a narrow beam. It doesn't spread everything out linearly like this. All right. I appreciate everybody here, all the help, all of the questions, all of the answers. What about 900, 4033 better? The lower you go with your signal, the better. That's why Dragon Link is running 433 for the control. And then you get your 1.3 gigahertz for your video. That way there's no interference. Yeah, the 900, that is black sheep. Maytech, guys, check out Maytech. That's where all of the good electronics are. Yes, lower frequency requires lower power, but yet it still punches. Oh, I did talk about right hand, left hand, circular polarized. That's when I showed this earlier in the camera. This RHCP, right hand circular polarized. What you want to do is have right hand circular polarized here, right hand circular polarized here. That way it'll pick it up. Literally, if this bounces off of that window and comes to here, it won't pick it up. That's why you use right hand circular polarized, because you don't pick up the noise. You only pick up the straight transmission, but not what bounces off, because you only want your clean signal. So if you want, I would say the F411, most likely for you, Randy, over the Maytech F405. F411 is the newer. It has a couple other features, and you don't need everything that the Maytech 405 has to offer. So you would use left-hand circular polarized if you want to stand out from the crowd. Because if everybody else is using right-hand circular polarized, even if they're on the same video frequency, you can actually still get yours. Now, it's not like a proven, or not like a foolproof way to do it. But I know a guy who literally just runs left-hand circular polarized, just for that very same reason. But a lot of other people, most everybody, just runs right-hand circular polarized. The issue is, all right, GB Linden's going live. Post the link in here. The issue is, if you mess up and you get a right-hand circular polarized here and a left-hand circular polarized there, you're not going to pick up your own video signal that well. You're going to be filtering it out. So just always go with right-hand circular polarized. And make sure your connections are good. There's like 4 different types of connections on this. Whether it's any, outie, it's male or female. All right? So that's the main things. GB, post the link in here. And we can all head over. All right, everybody. I want to say thank you to everybody who was in here. Again, thank you for all of the questions. Thank you for all of the answers. Please contact me at any point in time for any answers. I want to see everybody out there able to do FPV. If you want to do it, some of you guys explore. You don't even have to fly. You can put FPV in your plane and let other people see the view. Thank you, everybody. Love you all. Josh Weaver, Artsy, out. Thank you, Chuck G, Craft King, Mike SSI, Randy, GB Linden, RC Stinger. Thank you, sir. The RC Air Marshal. Thank you as well. Shadow Ops, Gooniac, Arhuffines 13. Good stuff, everybody. I certainly appreciate it. Have a good night, all, or good morning, or good afternoon, no matter when you watch, no matter where in the world you are. Thank you. Bye.